Steve Ross takes a moderate position on most of the issues. He is more conservative on matters such as budget and taxes, less so when it comes to medical marijuana and abortion. What is North Carolina going to do about abortion? What do you want to do?
I don't know that North Carolina will do anything come January, because if you look at the rhetoric that's going on out there, you've got two far extremes on this thing.
Do you want to ban abortion in North Carolina?
Ban it totally? No.
So you favor some time period, as you mentioned, in between, and you also support the exceptions of life of the mother, rape, and incest.
Absolutely.
What has your opponent done or not done that you want to change?
The difference in me is that's the way I operate. I'm in the communities trying to solve problems. My opponent has not done any of that, has made no contact with the towns, the councils, anyone over 2 years to try to find out what their needs are.
Is there an issue or two there that you disagree on that he's done or not done that you would have done differently?
The fact that with that in the budget, when it came up the first 2 times for a vote, my opponent voted against it. Even when someone pointed out to him that, you know, there's a lot of money in here for your community, for your district, voted against it. And I think that was something that disappointed me.
He was part of a party that all voted against those budgets because they didn't, if I remember the argument right, there wasn't enough money in there for education.
Well, they always use that, and it's unfortunate because they use education as a political pawn every 2 years.
So this past time, the budget included a 5% pay raise for teachers over 2 years. Was that enough? Is that too much? Is that the right amount?
It's hard to say if it's enough. But I do know that over the 8-year period that I was there, I voted for 7 teacher pay increases over that time period.
You support the use of taxpayer money for private education?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Do you see a path to Medicaid expansion in the legislature?
I do. The Senate is pushing for Medicaid expansion.
They've passed their version. It's the House that hasn't.
I'm not opposed to medical marijuana. You know, does it work? I don't know. I've talked to a ton of people that have medical issues that tell me that it works.
The legalization of full marijuana, recreational is the term that is most often used.
I don't support that. You know, we can't keep people off the road now with driving under the influence.
Where do you stand on the sports betting?
I think sports betting will eventually pass in North Carolina. I'm not a gambler, but I don't have a problem if somebody else wants to bet on a game.
Is there something new that you can bring to the voters of this district that separates you from your opponent?
I think the thing that I think people need to understand about me, and I still credit this with my years as a mayor. When you're a mayor, you don't represent one side or the other. You're a problem solver. Now, my opponent, on the other hand, is an extremist on the far left.
You guys have had a major issue over the ICE, what they can do, what they can't do, and what's going on.
Part of it is because there's a lot of misinformation that's floated around about that, and especially by the other side. If you're a citizen that does not have a criminal record, you have nothing to fear. If you're here legally or even illegally.
Do you support concealed carry, or do you want to get rid of it like some people do?
I believe that, personally, I mean, I have a concealed carry permit. And I think the thing about concealed carry that's good is the fact that there is a background check that has to take place. I don't think we need to just let anybody out here carry a gun.
Ross says he spent 30 years in politics, both as the mayor of Burlington as well as his time in the North Carolina House. He lost this race to Ricky Hurtado 2 years ago by just 1% of the vote. The two men face off again in the midterm election. Bill O'Neill, WXII 12 News.
And as we bring you candidate profiles like these in the coming weeks, you can see any that you missed on the WXII 12 app. Just look for the politics page under the News tab.